man, this whole snitching thing is getting out of hand a little bit, but everybody's going around trying to find the next snitch. Who's the next snitch? What's going on? This and third. They've came up with a new name, and they're saying that the owner of QC, which is the company and the label that has signed Lil Yachty, the Migos, and Lil Baby, they say he's a snitch. Now, let me tell you what I know about P. Me and P, we have a pretty decent relationship. I want to get him on my podcast. I think he's a very smart and brilliant person. I think he's completely revolutionized the game of being an executive, where you can't just be an executive just sitting in your little posh office in the hills of LA or just in New York. You kind of have to be relatable, and you got to be kind of a bridge that connects people with the environment that their music when it connects. Like, so what I've always heard about P is that, you know, P, before music, he was a street nigga. So he has certain type of respect. And what I mean by a street nigga, I don't necessarily know what that means when it comes to P, but that's what everybody says. He was a street nigga. He's a nigga that people respected in the streets. Okay? Anyway, it came out now that they're saying that P cooperated. I saw it on a few sites. I talked to a few people. This is what the word was. The word was, yo, I'm going to be honest with y'all. Everybody in Atlanta heard and knew about this already. However, P is very now obviously influential and powerful. And, you know, people have just looked beyond it in a sense, right? However, somehow documentation came out and some page called News Made It, which apparently is, if you like, you guys got to go to this page right here. News Made It. And apparently they're like telling you who the hell is snitching this and third. So they put a P on this page and they had some type of paperwork with highlights on it. People were like, oh, whatever. But it was interesting because I didn't know too much about it. I was watching the comments. And the comments was very interesting. You're going to see a lot of people say, you know, fuck this, long live whatever. And you get to realize this is a real situation. So this is a real situation that actually did happen, right? Here's also, I don't know who the guy Stunna is, but you see on the bottom of this thing, it says, P put the police on Stunna at Lennox. So clearly the people who are within this community, because this is a local page, everybody's saying, long live Stunna. Long live Stunna. Look, long live Stunna. You hear people jumping in 4 days ago. Yo, this ain't nothing alleged. It's real. Whatever the case is. Right? Now, I don't know about the politics and what's been going on in Atlanta. So I kind of looked at it and I said, yo, I'm glad that I'm not in this realm, because you know who's gonna have to look at this and kind of tell us really what's going on? Because as much as, yeah, I'm media, but I'm not going to be the person like, I'm stamping it. This guy's a snitch. Like, you don't want to hear that from Akademiks. But there's a person who does that. And it's the guy named 1090 Jake. So 1090 Jake actually did a whole video on it, and we're going to watch it. By the way, Boom or Fax, if you're around, could you please see if you could reach out to 1090 Jake and try to get him on the Discord? I would love to talk to him after this, because I do understand that, you know, after he dropped his video, there was some other stuff that happened. But let's watch the video, all right?
On him, man, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of EOS. It's 1090 Jake, and I'm rocking with y'all, and y'all rocking with me. And for this video, we're gonna be speaking on P from the QC music label, the CEO of the music label, snitching on a man and getting him a 20-year prison sentence. May 27th, 2010. It was 8:45 p.m. when an off-duty officer working at the Lenox Mall in Atlanta advised over the radio he was with a man who stated a black man named Keon was leaving the mall in a brown-tinted four-door, and that Keon was wanted for murder. 2 additional officers responded to the area, locating a brown Oldsmobile matching the description given. The vehicle was pulled over with 2 men and a woman inside, with the front passenger being identified as Interior's Keon McClinton, who officers confirmed had a murder warrant out of Fulton County. An investigator arrived at the mall where the call originated and met with Pierre Thomas, who's more commonly known as P, the CEO of Quality Control Music. P stated to the investigator he was at the mall when he recognized the man he knew as Keon. P told the investigator Keon was the same man who previously shot him and killed his friend, which led to the warrant for murder. P would continue by telling the investigator he confronted Keon, even chasing him to his vehicle where Keon grabbed a handgun. That's when P would run for the mall as Keon chased behind him saying, "I'm gonna kill you." P would state he was in fear for his life, hid in the mall, and came back out to see Keon was leaving the area. P would also provide a written statement. According to the written statement, Pierre listed himself as a victim or witness and wrote, "I confronted him about murder and chased him to the car. He got a pistol and chased me in the mall, threatening to kill me." The officer would write, "How do you know the subject?" And P would answer, "He shot me and killed my friend." The officer then asked, "What type of gun was it?" And P answered, "A black handgun." On a second piece of paper, the officer would ask, "Did he make any comments?" And P would write, "I'm gonna kill you." The officer then wrote, "Did you fear for your life?" And P answered, "Yes." Pierre Thomas would sign both pieces of paper along with the witnessing officer who received the statement. Keon would be read his Miranda rights before saying he was at the mall when a man with a red hat approached him, repeatedly asking if he knew him and saying he knew who he was. Keon said the man's friends began to surround him when he took off running to the car. Reaching the car, he pointed his finger at the man with the hat who was now leaving the scene. Keon denied having a firearm or pointing one at anyone. The vehicle would be impounded and no weapon would be recovered, but Keon would be charged with aggravated assault anyways and taken to jail to also face the murder warrant. 8 days later, Keon would be indicted on charges of aggravated assault and possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony for allegedly pointing a handgun and threatening Pierre Thomas. Within the witness list, P would be the only civilian listed, and his statement would be the only evidence against Keon. Incarcerated for roughly 3 months, Keon would be indicted on 7 new charges. The state would allege that on December 8, 2009, Pierre Thomas, or P, went over to an apartment complex belonging to Karan Dennis. P had intended on playing Xbox and betting on a basketball game within the apartment that was said to be a marijuana trap house. While at the apartment, a man that evidence later identified as Keon arrived looking for the apartment owner Karan, who was outside walking the dog. P told Keon to come back a little later. Karan would make his way back to the apartment, and not long after, Keon would arrive looking to buy marijuana. When Karan went to get it, Keon was said to have opened fire, shooting Karan multiple times before firing at P. P would run for the sliding glass door, making his way 2 apartments over, where he told the tenant he'd been shot and to call the police. Karan would die from his injuries, and investigators would determine it to be a murder-robbery. Through the course of the investigation, police interviewed P, the surviving victim. P provided them with a description stating the suspect was approximately 6 feet tall, 200 pounds with a mohawk, and a possible tattoo on his face. Time would go by since the day of the shooting, and P would occasionally relay information to the police about stuff that he had heard on the street, identifying Keon, a suspect, or who he heard might have been responsible for killing his friend. He provided some info to the police, and they were able to put a person into a photo lineup, but P did not make an identification. A few more months went by, and P provided information to the police that he had heard that the suspect goes by the name Stunna, and he'd previously been shot in a club. Looking into the nickname, police were able to identify Keon as having used that nickname and having been a shooting victim. 5 months had now passed since P had been shot, and with a new photo lineup presented, P was able to positively identify Keon, or Stunna, as the man who shot him and killed his friend. Police believed it was apparent P had seen a photograph of Stunna prior to viewing the lineup. Because of the positive identification, the warrant for murder went out, and 3 weeks after, P would confront Stunna in the mall before running for his life. Stunna would write a letter to the judge and call out P for his lies that led to his incarceration. He'd introduce himself and say, I have been incarcerated for approximately 6 months under false pretenses. The accusee, Mr. Pierre Thomas, has made false accusations such as claiming that I shot at him and supposedly killed his friend. Fearing that I would retaliate and seek vengeance for him shooting me 4 times on April 30th of 2010, Pierre Thomas went down to the police department and took a warrant out on me. So in a surprising turn of events, Stunna was now claiming P previously shot him, or knows who shot him, and because P thought Stunna was gonna retaliate, P went to the police and snitched on Stunna. March 16th, 2012. Stunna would be re-indicted, now facing a total of 10 charges including murder, 2 felony murders, and 2 aggravated assaults. All charges would stem from the 2 incidents involving P, the initial shooting at the apartment, and the mall confrontation. 4 days later, Stunna would be ready to face sentencing. According to the guilty plea transcripts, a then 30-year-old Stunna stood in front of a judge as she explained he was charged with 10 counts, but the state had agreed to dismiss 6 of them. He pled guilty to aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, aggravated assault, possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. The state would go over the 2 cases and 2 witnesses, Karan Dennis and Pierre Thomas. The judge would receive the details of the shooting, the cooperation of Pierre Thomas, and how Stunna was able to be identified solely by Pierre Thomas's voluntary cooperation by steadily supplying investigators with tips as the months progressed. Pierre would confront Stunna in a mall before running for his life and immediately sought the police as he told them of the murder warrant he helped secure against Stunna.
Man, I fell down to my knees when the law came.
This arrest would place new charges on Stunna, where yet again, Pierre Thomas was the only witness, and his statement was the main piece of evidence linking Stunna to any crime. Pierre would be notified by the prosecutors of the negotiations that had been agreed to, and Stunna would be sentenced to 20 years in state prison, with 10 to serve, and the remainder to be served on probation. Only a year after Stunna's sentencing, Pierre Thomas, who we all now know as P, would co-found Quality Control Music, becoming the CEO of one of Atlanta's rising music labels. With the superstar roster like the Migos, Lil Yachty, Lil Baby, and many more, P's power, wealth, and fame would also be on the rise, with only those close to the city knowing what took place before his career took off. Given credit for the 2 years spent in jail, it wouldn't be until May of 2019 when Stunna was approved for parole. Stunna's oldest child was 9 years old when he went away, and 10 years later, the two had plenty to catch up on. But unfortunately, their time together would be cut short.
Shortly after 8 o'clock this morning, officers respond to a person shot. When they arrived, they located one black male in his late 30s, deceased from several gunshot wounds. They were able to locate certain items of evidence, including some shell casings. Right now, we're canvassing the neighborhood, trying to find any witnesses or any video footage of what happened. We've been speaking with some neighbors who did call 911 after reporting hearing gunshots. At this time, we're still trying to determine a motive or who the suspects are, but at this time we do believe that it was a targeted shooting based on witness accounts.
Stunna was pronounced dead after being shot multiple times, and what police determined was a targeted shooting. The last court document in this case would be a petition to terminate probation, with the reason being his death certificate. Stunna only lasted 7 months in the free world. And with the details of this case being publicly available for over a decade, it's hard to imagine why now in 2023, it's making its way around the internet as if nobody knew. And after this video, there will be little to no room for debate, as we all can now see P snitched on Stunna. Now this paperwork, it's clear cut. In 2 different ways. The paperwork that hit the internet was fuzzy, looked a little funny. The paperwork I got is clear as day. This is 4K paperwork. But it's clear cut in the sense that it's publicly available, anybody can get it, And he clearly fucking told. He cooperated in the mall saying, oh, this man's over here and he got a warrant for murder. But not only that, he cooperated and helped secure the warrant for the murder. Now you could say the initial description he gave was throwed, and it was. That was the reason the murder was dropped, was because of the initial description. But at the end of the day, it also states that P stayed in contact with investigators, letting them know whatever he heard on the street. So P was tapping into the streets, hearing this, that, and the third, and then relaying that same information to the homicide investigators. Aside from a grainy picture that the surveillance cameras at the mall got of Stunna with something in his hand that might have resembled a gun, P was the only evidence of the aggravated assault at the mall and of the murder and attempted murder. It's good, it never will look good, and he definitely told. But let me know y'all thoughts and comments in the comments section. It's 1090 Jake. I'm rocking with y'all, y'all rocking with me. Till next time.
All right, people. Let me tell you this. By the way, interesting enough, I remember one time I was gonna go live with 6ix9ine one point, and he had a list of niggas who snitched in the game, and half of those situations I didn't know about. I think he had P name on it. I was like, whoa, nigga, I'm not standing next to you when you said that shit. If you don't know, P's it's one of the really powerful niggas in the music industry. By the way, my official thoughts on all this. Good job, P. The fuck? Hey, listen, this is why I be looking at everybody claiming gangster, and I'll be like, you sure you're still gangster? Bro, somebody kills your mans and like he's chasing you down with a gun in the mall later on and you can't get help. It's not like we ain't hear no story of P shooting the nigga back. We ain't hear of no story of P trying to kill the nigga. Sound like P was getting bullied. I'm sorry. Call the cops. I'm sorry to tell you, man. I thought P did a great thing. Your mans get killed, you owe it to that nigga's mama. Call the cops, man. You a victim in the crime. You need to go provide all the information you can about that motherfucker. And to keep it real, 20 years was too light because he got parole after 10. That boy should have gotten life imprisonment. You ain't do a motherfucking thing wrong, okay? Somebody said, oh, P shot him? Nah. Somebody said, no, P shot him. He clearly... Nah, the nigga was he was lie snitching. You know lie snitching when a nigga snitch on you, so now you gotta lie about what he did to you? Be like, yo, they said you robbed him. Nah, I ain't rob him. Well, he robbed me first. So he did the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, nah, he lie snitch. He lie snitching, bro. Somebody said in his letter, said P shot him 4 times. Nah, well, see? That's what yo, my whole disposition to this whole thing is this. I feel bad for all you gangster niggas. I keep saying 90% of rappers are going to be proven as snitches because y'all have no type of leeway and no one wants to make it clear. If me and you don't bang with each other and we didn't do a crime together, if the police get involved and I could help my situation by telling on you who I hate anyway, and if I saw you, I would shoot you, I'm going to tell on you. That's how it works. It's self-preservation. People act like, only in hip hop they act like being a street nigga is like some type of like superhero. Like a street nigga, like, oh, he's a street nigga. He has a cape on now. He's like Superman, super street Negro. He's not going to tell. No, everybody is in this for self-preservation. You get what I mean? So obviously this started when people acted like snitching was just a taboo thing. And they obviously 6ix9ine did it against his own people. But they just like, oh, we don't fuck with snitches. By the way, have you noticed Meek Mill, who was like the forefront of let's root out the snitches, has not said nothing about a snitch since then. He's been cooling with white billionaires. Don't care no more, right? You get what I mean? You know why? Because now everybody's getting rooted out. He ain't got nothing to say about Gunna. He deleted his tweet. That's how it is. P, again, I don't know. Like, obviously, I hear that he was a street dude. I'm sorry. I could only see this from my perspective. Somebody kill your mans. You told on him. I'm not calling you a snitch. Sorry. Well, the streets are going to call him a snitch. But also, here's the thing, too. And this is what I'm trying to say. The whole snitching shit is dumb. Because it matters who the snitch is. Because P right now is the gateway for most Atlanta artists into the industry. Do you think they're going to treat him like a quote-unquote snitch? No. They're not going to treat him like Gunna. Everybody wants to sign to QC. These got $300 million. They're getting backed by some heavy corporations, some heavy financiers. You think they're going to be like, oh, no, you're a snitch? So that's why I always say this snitching shit is the dumbest shit, period. And I'm glad it's 1090J dealing with this bullshit because I don't give a fuck about this. I'm cool with P. I'm going to be cool with him afterwards. You know what I mean? First of all, I wouldn't be doing no crime with nobody anyway. But you get to realize now people are picking and choosing. The most great, the most historic thing, and I'm going to play it in a second, Whack 100, who's the master of objectiveness. Oh, we got the paperwork. We got to work. We got to work. We got to work. P, trust me, nobody in the music industry will go against P. Facts. You know what Whack says about this whole thing? He ain't snitch. Of course. Of course. So now I just want people to accept the truth of everything you're saying. Y'all really don't care. Y'all only want to call out the snitches you don't like. That's why 6ix9ine was the perfect snitch. We all don't like him, and he snitched. But if you're, it's like, remember 6ix9ine flipped it on Meek. Well, if you don't like snitches, yeah, fine, I snitch, you don't like me. But what about Desiree Perez? Let's not talk about that no more. Now we good. Do you see this? Anyway, P didn't respond. And when P responded, he said this, okay? Put out a lengthy statement, and you tell me what you get from this. It says, I see that 300 million got all them hating ass niggas mad back home. Anybody know me, know my character. Our culture's so fucked up that it's sad that living in this imaginary street, y'all living in this imaginary street dream. I agree with that. I'm changing lives and changing my family curse. I don't got no love for no nigga that try to kill me or kill mine. I also agree with that. I ain't in the streets. You hear what he says. Never wanted to be. I played the hand I was dealt, and I made something out of it. Y'all bum-ass niggas should do the same. Stop glorifying dumb shit. Rest in peace to my dog Q, an innocent man with 5 kids who lost his life to a bum-ass nigga who didn't value his own. I'm a goat. Don't ever confuse me with a rat. Now take that fraudulent incident report and stick it up your ass. I love my freedom, so stop playing with it. Peace. Essentially, he said, of course I told on that motherfucker. I never really was like a street nigga like that. I was just kind of like, again, he's pretty much admitting it, right? But he's also saying this shit is dumb. But obviously he's $300 million up. And in hindsight, he could see that was dumb. So of course he's saying all these things. But some people would say, well, that's hypocritical because you were living by quote unquote the code of the streets at a point. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I've always just said, this witch hunt for snitches is going to make every rapper look like a snitch. And I'm wondering when rappers are going to start saying, you know what? But they can't. They can't ever come out and say, you know what? We're going to stop focusing on this snitch shit. I don't give a fuck if a nigga snitch if he wasn't riding with me on my team or he wasn't from my city or shit. He not on paperwork with telling on me. Because everybody's acting like they care about snitching, but nobody don't. Selective politic. And if somebody powerful enough, he ain't snitch. If somebody is can help you out or whatever. And also, here's the thing about this. From what I've heard, again, I don't look at P as a snitch at all. But from what I've heard, everybody in Atlanta knew about this. So if y'all, like, how did everybody in Atlanta know about this? And then it's only coming out now. So it's impossible for y'all to get me to believe that people care about snitching when everybody in Atlanta knew about this. And again, I don't call it snitching because he's fucking telling on somebody who killed his man. Come do some dumb shit to me. I will get your ass 100 years. Gladfully. You do something to my friend? 100 years, nigga. I give a testimony of a lifetime, nigga. But I ain't in the street, so I get a pass. Ha, 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 ha. Yo, being a street nigga sucks. Yeah, being a street nigga sucks, man. Ah, ah. Remember them niggas who try to run in my crib? Them niggas locked up. I've been hitting up the cops to see, like, yo, when is it time to testify? They're like, we don't even need you. We got all the surveillance. We don't even, like, you're just a victim. Like, we don't even need you. I'm like, you sure y'all want to hear me? So, well, you could write an impact statement. I'm like, fuck. It's like you never confronted them. They're like, I'm like, damn. Fuck. Tell you, man. I'm on their ass. I said 100 years. 100 years. 100. Civilian, man. 100 years, gang. I got some extra shit to say, too. I'm gonna be crying at y'all sentences. Oh my God, my life was ruined. Oh my God, I can't sleep in peace. 100 years. Yeah, fuck them. Any nigga who try to cause harm or damage to you, fuck them niggas, man. I ain't got time for that. All right, let's keep it going. Anyway, it was interesting because, of course, my man 1090